All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the third Stories from the Heart Community Language Projects from Ready to Revitalize. This is a monthly informal talk series where alumni of ELP's Ready to Revitalize course are going to be sharing about the incredible work they are doing to revitalize their languages in their communities. And today we're so happy to welcome René Gonzalez, who's going to be talking about his work to revitalize the Ayuuk language through stickers. This is going to be awesome. So without any further ado, René, welcome.
Thank you so much, Anna, to everyone and ELP and the members. Should I share my presentation?
Yeah, and just a quick housekeeping note, everybody, we will have time for questions and discussion at the end. So if you have questions, if you have thoughts, you can either drop them in the chat for Renee to address at the end or save them for the question time. All right, thanks. Go ahead, Renee.
Okay, thank you. Hi everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to ELP for the invitation. It's an honor to be here sharing with you a little bit of this project. As you're going to see, ELP has a lot to do with what's going on right now. So my project, I call it At Least Something Is Going to Stick. And I'm gonna talk about this project, and we're going to start with the introductions. So hi everyone. Hoy comienza we say in my language, which is literally welcome. Like hoy as well, comienza is welcome. Basically the same also as in Spanish, bienvenido. So bienvenidos a todos, hoy comienza. Thank you so much for being here. My name is René Oswaldo González Pizarro. I am a graphic designer. I am from the Mije people. We call ourselves Ayuuk, Ayuuk High. And I studied a master in higher education. I am also a researcher at Centro de Estudios y Desarrollo de las Lenguas Indígenas de Oaxaca. When we work with the indigenous languages just in my state, we have 16 indigenous languages besides Spanish. And we have also English communities and some other languages, but like native languages, we have 16. So I work in a center where we basically study and apply. It's more like a linguistic thing, but I work as a designer and as a teacher also. But I am also a professor of drawing and lettering and typography at Universidad José Vasconcelos here in Oaxaca. And I am also a member of Colmix Colectivo Mije, a group of Mije people that cares about all things related to the Mije language and the Mije culture. Also, you can find me on Insta. My handler is Serpiente DG. Thank you so much. And uh, as I said before, how all this started, this is the fault of ELP because they had this program ready to revitalize, and that's why we're like here today. And this was back in 2024 when I applied to this program, and I didn't know that there were like over 400 applications, and I was so lucky to be part of this program. And so I was able to meet a lot of people from all over the world that was working with their own languages also, and that was so nice. That experience was a great experience. I mean, I do that here in Oaxaca. Like as I said, we have 16 indigenous languages, so I meet a lot of people that speak different languages, and they are having doing their own efforts in order to keep their language alive. And so, as part of the Ready to Revitalize program by ELP, I started this project that is based on stickers. And I don't know how technical this is going to be, sorry in advance. And I am not a linguist also, so one of the things that I'm gonna mention here, so I don't know what people from the audience thinks, because when we talk about revitalizing a language, I don't know if we think in terms of writing it, like, or like seeing it, and it's more like creating more speakers, right? So there's like immersion strategies and things like that. And so at the beginning, I was not sure if I could call a project with stickers like a revitalizing effort. I mean, it's an effort, but I don't know if we call it revitalizing. But at the end, and maybe some linguists can agree or not and can help us later, what I thought my process is that it looks like part of the value of the language is that you can see it also. I mean, literally, like you can see it all over the places. Like in the Mije villages, I noticed the towns where the language is more vital, they also have like the little convenience store has names in Ayuuk. The books also are in Ayuuk. The parents call their kids in Ayuuk, and so the even the streets names are in Ayuuk. So you can not only hear the language, but you can read it and you can see it. So that was part of my process, and I was like, okay, I think it is important and it has some value. The my project is more related to seeing and watching, seeing my language represented, right? So that's what I did. And as I said before, I like calligraphy, I like lettering, I like typography. So I was already kind of like doing stuff like this, but in Spanish and English. So I had to do the transition to like, I have to do it now in Mije. So that's what I did. And this is what I did back in 2024. So that was part of like those were the first stickers I made. And as I said, like I took like some words, some phrases, and I converted them in Ayuk. And then what happened after this is that when I started with the stickers, it was like a very personal project. I was going to use it for my laptop, for my notebooks, things like that. But when I was working with my friends in Colmix, they are like from all over the nation, the region and the Mije region, so they have different dialects or variants of my language. And so the next step, it was kind of like organic next step, and it was like that to create like the stickers, but also in their variant or in their dialect. And as you can see, yeah, like the first top left, it is my variant, and so it is the same. You can see the six stickers are the same, but the difference is that each one is still the Ayuk language, but in their own variant, in their own dialect. I think that's the second important part of my project. The what I learned with the Ready to Revitalize is that everyone can have their own efforts, very individual, personal efforts, but it's so much better when you do it with other people and you look like allies and friends that are also doing, or even like I think other people in Ready to Revitalize can testify that even with people that you don't even know, right? It doesn't have to be your friend, but sometimes we feel like we are in the middle of nowhere and no one is doing anything. And then when you start looking around, there's other people also doing something, trying to keep the language alive. And the good thing about Colmix is that I am a graphic designer, but we also have linguists, scientists, biologists, like a lot of different disciplines. And I think that is very valuable. And then that makes the effort like from different perspectives. I think it's amazing. In my case, I do the design, but like then I learn a lot about how my language works and things like that. And that is it's amazing as an experience. So I repeat, the second good thing that I see in my project is that it is good to do it by yourself, but it's so much better when you start looking around and work with other people and we work together. Uh, so in these examples, what you're going to see is then how do we call our language in our own variant. Yeah, I use Ayuuk, like the first one that you can see, but it's like a generic for all of us, but like each variant, each language dialect has their own way to represent the language, and it's almost the same, but like you can see here, Ayuk, Ayok, Ayuk, and also the one that I use for myself is bottom left is Ayuk. So it is to show that even when we work with one language, sometimes we don't see that there are other in the same language there are variants. For example, in if you look for languages in Mexico, you can see that Nahuatl is the first most spoken indigenous language, and you can say, okay, then Nahuatl is okay. But when you see each dialect, each variant, you can see how some of them are like very endangered because they have only like few speakers. So is this specific variant of Nahuatl that's very endangered, but since in the stats it looks like Nahuatl is very vital, then not that many people pay attention to that. So it's part of like what we're saying is like now we're paying attention to different variants and dialects of the same language. So that was 2024. In 2025, I had a chance to also present what I was doing in a summit was called Multilingue. That was 2025. And that was also a great experience because in that one, like in my work and like working in the activism that I've been in touch. I was able to meet a lot of different people, but like a teacher, we work with teachers. Or when we talk about the language, you go with speakers. And what happened with multilingual is that this was a summit. There was what happened is that we have like a lot of different disciplines, including designers and type designers, not only linguists, teachers, speakers, but also designers. And that was such a good experience. And as I said before, like there's a big difference that when you work on your own than when you start working with other people. So um, after 2025 with multilingual, we keep doing like more stickers, but like another kind of like natural step is that not only use it for stickers. Um, Here is another example of like the same concept, but like in different variants. It can be like even when this is the same language with the we call Ayuk, there's like a lot of difference when you like look around. And so when I talk about representation, like having a visual representation makes you also like wonder like, oh, okay, even when we say this is the same language, there are like differences in it's kind of like just be aware of that, right? Like I think the word in English is awareness. So it's kind of like that. It's like awareness. Here is a little bit of what I do, like the process, a little bit of how I do this, and this is a little more technical and more like the process of design. And first, I have to compile the words or phrases that I could use. Most of them are based on like sayings or things I heard that when I was a kid, or important concepts in the language. And then I go for the fonts that I like, or like I think they're going to look better for this phrase or word. And and at the end, you can see in the word on the left and with the tab in the center, I apply some styles, colors, some effects, and to give that appearance like a sticker. So basically, this is the process that I do. to create, in this case, is all typographic because the font already exists. If this was lettering, then we add first the process when I do the letters by hand, and then I draw them in the computer, and then again the same. One of the problems that I have, and maybe other speakers of different languages, maybe they also face the same problem, is not all the fonts have all the characters that I need, especially like the critics. And so I have to go in the font and basically manipulate the font and the characters in order to get what I need. But also at the same time, I also like, if you know about fonts, OpenType gives you a lot of different options. So in this case, I'm gonna tell you that the image in the top is the font as is. So I type what I want, and that's what I get. But in the second, so it's uh, bottom left, I already added the OpenType feature, so this comes with the font, like for example the J, the P, the Y, the M. You can see that they has like some terminal. They have some terminals, some flourishes, things like that. But also, like for example, in red, you can see that I changed also that symbol because in my language it's more like this than the first one. So when I finally get that is when then I apply the appearance and the style changes. And this is one of the important things. I was talking about multilingual in 2025. This is important because then designers are able to design fonts specifically for the language, right? And so we have some experiences with that. For example, Manuel Lopez Rocha, he already designed like two, three fonts for specifically for my language, Ayuuk. So there you don't have this problem that, oh, I don't have this accent, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, and then it's because that was designed specifically for your language. And I think that's one of the areas where we can insight as designers. We can get straight to that problem, so you don't have to deal with that. And also the good thing with my process is that then at the end, even when I use the same font, I can just apply different styles and I get a different appearance, even when I am using the same font. So I get the appearance that I want specifically for that. The other thing that happens is that even with the open type, I don't always get the appearance that I want. So what I do is that I get parts of like other letters maybe, and I cut those parts and then I put them together like a little puzzle until I get the appearance that I want. You can start noticing I love flourishes and things like that. It's like a very I, I hear now people calling the style maximalism, but I think it's more like indigenous. It's more like native than Mexican. And after that, now I'm starting to do some like more illustrations and sticker with illustrations, but not that much because the main factor to start doing these stickers is related to the language and the written language to see it, and so kids or students can see their own language in a written form. And if it's lettering, it's so much better because then we can do some stickers and like a lot of different forms and shapes and ways. And the next steps appear. And this was originally a sticker, but when I was already drawing it, I said like this is going to look beautiful on like on a shirt or something like that. And this is what I mean when I was talking about like I love that this baroquism that some people call it Mexican, but I think it's more like indigenous. So that's why in all my designs you're going to see all these lines and ornaments and flourishes and things like that. So that's part of the style. That is like such a very personal style, but it's not coming from nowhere. It comes from this style based on the ancient Mexican design. Here, for example, a few years ago, it was very trendy, this meme with the poster of "Keep Calm," and somebody in the comics in the collective I am, and somebody created this one, they "Keep Calm," and took Muk Nehten. And so I said, maybe I can do the same, but like with the new things I'm doing, right? Like with my style, with my ornaments, with my all these things like I was doing already with the stickers. So I created this one, and that also looks very good and on shirts. And so that's what I've been doing. I am showing this one because I like it very much. Unfortunately, if you're not a Spanish speaker, probably you're not going to get it. This one has like probably like three, 4 layers of meaning because even if you're Spanish speaker, then you don't get the mije part, the ayuk part. But let's say if you know Chocolate Abuelita, you can recognize the logo of these chocolate bars here. That's one first one first layer of recognition. Oh, this is Chocolate Abuelita. But also, if you're a Spanish speaker and you're not from Mexico, maybe you don't know that we say abuelita as a slang for hell yeah. And so that adds another layer. But then abuelita soy tu nieto is like the extended slang. And then what happened is I heard this basically translated into mije, and then I was like, oh, it is exactly the same, right? Like in Spanish, we say abuelita soy tu nieto, and people in the village is already saying abuelita soy tu okman, and they just changed the word okman for nieto, which is grandson. That's why here it says abuelita soy tu nieto. It's like Grammy, I am your grandson. So, but that's the literal translation, and okay, ha ha ha, funny, but it has this also another layer of what I'm saying is hell yes, basically. So what I wanna say, because basically I am saying this is it, I am done with my presentation. I just wanna remember the main things that I learned as the revitalization. It doesn't have to be specifically immersion strategies. It can be like different efforts that goes to the value of the language. The second lesson that I got is that it's so much better to work with other people that are also already working towards the language than to be alone and working just by yourself. And the third one is these efforts don't have to be like very academic or rigid or like traditional and thinking like in the past, which is okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. But also, I like to think of my language and my people like very modern contemporary people and the things that we're doing now and looking now and all the things that are happening now. So that's why those stickers can have like more modern style. In we already had people from some high schools asking for stickers and they wanted it in their variant, and that's amazing and things like that. It's like that's exactly the point, right? Like they can see how the world is evolving, and a lot of efforts are like oh, those days, remember the old days, or we do it this way, which is what I'm saying is very important. But if you only emphasize that, then it looks like there's a big bridge that is kind of like, okay, we have this part of our culture, but at the same time, the world is evolving and changing, and that's different. That's not us. No, but like it is us. It is us right now. Like Mihe people, Ayuuk people, we're living right now. We're doing things right now. We have PhDs, we have engineers, we have scientists, we have artists. All of that, all of Mihe people, and all of that is happening right now, and so that is the last lesson that I learned is like it doesn't have to be just like thinking in the past. So I am going to go back to Anna. Basically, this is the quote for the end. It's Mextetun Miatin. Kaya oiha ayuk hienchiak pach, which is basically a saying that says like, thank you so much, and so sorry if there's like, oh, especially since English is not my first language. I'm so sorry if I misspoke or I couldn't find the exact words for what I was trying to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Renee. That was awesome. And I
Thank
think,
you.
yeah, I think we have some questions in the chat. We got some time for anybody to share thoughts, questions, comments. I will just go ahead and start with some of the ones in the chat now. I think we had a lot of questions about how cool it is that you're doing stickers in different dialects. And so, one question, can you tell more about how you or your team go about collecting the phrases in each different dialect? For instance, how many people per dialect do you talk to? And do speakers of the same dialect ever disagree on how things should be spelled or what words should be used?
Well, the last part, I think that's enough for an hour discussion, but the first part I can respond. Um, in my case, since I started doing it by myself, I was the one thinking, what can I do? What phrases can I? So I started, and since my vision is already like not just attached to the great past of my people, but also to the present, and that's why, for example, the abuelita example is something that like prescriptivists or purists will be like, oh my God, don't do that to the language. And in my case, the people I work with we are also kind of like in sync in that. So I think that is a big advantage. The people I work with, because we are a collective, we have a lot in common in how we think in terms of our culture, and that gives us the advantage the when we share our ideas, we're kind of like in the same path. So there is not a big disagreement among us as a collective among us. So there's no disagreement in terms of why are you choosing that phrase, or we should, that we don't have that. Usually it's like, oh, what about this one? Oh, I heard in my village they use, like, for example, there was one there that is patch, and patch is like dude in English, kind of. And that one is not used in my village. We don't use that one in my village, but in a lot of different villages they use that one, patch, and it's very common and it's very well known. So it's kind of like natural. Yeah, of course. Unless we were purists and be like, but that's like, dude, that is like if you choose a sticker that says "What's up," or things like that. So if you have the kind of people disagreeing with you, I mean, then you have a problem. But in our case, we are like, yeah, of course, why not? So that is in terms of selecting what are we going to use as words and things like that. And we don't have that much disagreement in terms of compiling the words or the phrases. But that is because who I am working with. The second part, I think it's more, as I said, like that can be an entire session in talking with specialists and linguists. The thing about us as collective is since the 70s, there are efforts in terms of agreeing in a Mihe orthography. And after 50 years, there's we still disagree, but there are like two main um, alphabets being in use. But there is one that we use, and as a collective, we're like, this is the one we're using, this is the orthography we're using, and there's not a big deal. So people that's not from the collective, they can be like, oh, but this is not the correct way, that's not the way that you use it. And I don't know what's the language the person asking this question, what's your language? But what happened here is in Spanish is the lingua franca in Mexico. Most of the disagreements had to do with since since what you are proposing doesn't exactly match with what I know about Spanish, then you're wrong. And that is very fallacious. I can say that directly. That's very fallacious. And we kind of like have to explain like those are two totally different languages. So we don't have to follow the rules of Spanish. And it's not like we're just making them up. We have rules. That's why, as I said, from the 70s, this is being in like being developed since long time ago. But I don't know if this, at least we right now we have like two main alphabets. But in other languages, I'm sure there are like more and more and more, and there's going to be more people disagreeing with you. Um, at the end, I know in the history of English, in the history of Spanish, what is going to be used is not like something that's going to be decreed, like I am the king of shalala and I decreed, and now this is what we're going to use. No, because it's the people using it. So that's also our approach. Okay, I know that you don't agree with this, but there's the basis for what we're doing. It's not like just make up. There's a basis, and we propose this orthography, these rules for the language, and it works. So if we keep using it and more people keep using it, by the usage, it's going to be normalized. And we can discuss that, but that could be my answer. Thank you for the
Brilliant.
question.
Yeah, thanks, Renee. That sounds like a really good process. Actually, we have another question kind of about your creative process. So we got a comment that making stickers with known logos to help associate the words is genius. Do you have a list of things or companies or logos you've translated or plan to translate?
No, not exactly. Most of the time I notice when I was doing a lot of this, what I notice is the people are already using them like orally. Is that a word for oral in the oral way? People are already doing this. Um, for example, I remember a big poster that I did back, not related to Mije, but that then came back to me when I was thinking about the Mije, the stickers. Uh, a lot of people say, "Oh, I didn't like the elections," since the U.S. right now is going to that. I didn't like the elections. The elections are like a circus, and that is a metaphor, right? So I took the metaphor like very literal, and then I draw a circus. So, and that is visual, and it's a translation from a metaphor to a literal translation. And now instead of reading it, you can see it and you understand. So it's kind of like the same with the other ones, like with abuelita soy tu nieto. Since the people are already saying abuelita soy tu nieto, then abuelita, it came with the chocolate abuelita. So that came here, and so once I got it like an idea, maybe what is true is that if I don't at least like write, sketch it or something like that, maybe I'm going to forget. So it's very important that when I get that idea that, oh, abuelita, soy tu nieto. Oh, this can be with chocolate abuelita. Then I have to try it or at least write that idea to develop it in the future if I'm not like if I don't have a notebook or I'm not at the computer. And so it's not like I don't have like a list, but sometimes then I go with the sound. So if it sounds like, then I can do that. I can make the uh, as I said, this didn't started with this. I remember doing like posters with, I think in English it's called subvertising, where you take the original logo and then you change something because um, they were doing something bad or something to make it political, right? Then you change the logo and make it or look or sound. So using advertising as an example, I can do the same with the brands for specifically for the people for the person who asked this question. Usually it goes with sound. This sounds like, so I can maybe use that for a sticker. I hope that responds the person.
Awesome. Thanks, Renee. I've got a couple questions about sort of how your stickers are existing out in the world. So, similar questions. How do you see your work with these stickers shifting people's perspectives about the language and the different dialects? And can you talk about how people are picking up your stickers and what they're using them?
For the first one, not specifically, not directly, I think, but from what I hear, I mean, the change, I don't think the change is like a huge and immediate, but I think, as I said, for example, the last experience is the people from this high school asking for stickers because that's what they wanted. The kids is what they wanted. So this is already like, okay. So I am impacting in like maybe it is little, but I think when we talk about endangered languages, even so little is enough. It's a lot. So when I hear that and it's like, oh, people like them, I get this feedback, right? And so for me that's like, oh, okay, so there's I don't find the words in English, but like there's there's the effort and there's the satisfaction when I see this or when I hear this feedback. That's the first part of the question. And for the second, if can you please repeat the second part of the question? I forgot exactly the wording.
Yeah, just how are people picking up your stickers and what are they using them for?
Okay, thank you. But mostly, what they're using is to stick them on their notebooks and like kind of like what is the word? It's like thermos, but not specifically for like hot drinks. It can be like the thing that you bring to school for cold water, things like that. Um, Also, that's because of the nature of the stickers that we're doing. But like in the future, the next thing I want to do is like maybe stickers that are specifically for outdoors, for outside. So things like signage or things like that that can go on the wall, that can go outside. Because right now, with the paper that we're using, it's not enough. They're going to rip, they're going to wash out, and so right now it's more like they use it for their own things like laptops and things like that. But I hope that changes in the future. And right now we're doing it through my collective. So I don't know how many more. I mean, I hope I'm gonna keep doing more and more and more, and so we can spread the word about that and give more to more people. But right now we're doing it through Colmix, my collective.
Awesome. Thanks. And then a question sort of about your work with Colmix and also as a researcher. You talked about working with other people across disciplines. Can you give us some more detail about what it's like working with other researchers like biologists or linguists?
Yeah, that part about biology is that I like because we have even with the word revitalization, we already have vital there, which is like bio is vital in this metaphor of language with plants, for example, right? Like how they evolve, how they spread, how they live, uh, in like for example how there is like the correlation between language diversity and biodiversity. So I think specifically with biologists it's amazing to work with them in terms of I'm being a little nerdy, like if you like that, like talk to someone that like knows a lot about plants, but specifically plants in your land, your region, your area. And it's like, oh, this is amazing. I wanna know more. I wanna know more. I wanna know more. And I hear the same from a linguist, and I hear them, and I am like, I am not a linguist. I am not a biologist, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is a lot. But I wanna know more, more, more. And then my turn is like, it has to do with, and then the colors, and then the shapes, and then composition, and things like that. Uh, I mean, in my case, working with them is amazing. So I don't know what else to tell you. It is such a great experience just in terms of exchanging ideas. That to begin with is already amazing.
Awesome. Thanks, Renee.
Thank
We
you.
have two different questions about how to get your stickers. Can people order them?
Mm, not right now, but maybe ELP can help us with that in the future. Yeah, I mean, if you are in Oaxaca, Mexico, through my collective, and probably they can do something in order to get it to some other parts of Mexico. But beyond that, I mean, I didn't think about that, but maybe ELP we can start thinking about something there.
Yeah, the demand is there. Stay tuned, folks. We'll see if we can find a way to get stickers internationally. All right. I think we have one last very big question. I'm wondering if you could talk more about your vision and how you see the work of artists and designers in shifting narratives and supporting Indigenous movements more widely.
Well, I don't know exactly how to respond this. One, because it took me so long to think about myself as an artist. Uh, I think about myself more like a designer. And we have this discussion, what is a designer, what is an artist? Let's say, okay, let's say that yes, I am an artist, but I am already a Mije speaker. So it's also kind of like I am already working with my people. Um, but also through my life, I already, in my job, like Cedelio, as I said, I am a researcher in Cedelio. I am already working with a lot of different languages. So uh, I have kind of like two, there are two wolves inside you. I have like these two ideas. And one is the good. At least like we have more artists and people thinking in terms of, oh, there's more than the status quo. There's more than right. In the other hand, because we can see it here in Oaxaca, we can see the convenience of the artists, or the bastardization even, or the gentrification of our culture. And that is the part I don't like. So I can tell you that I don't like that. What I like is, and it's very rare, like no artist that the you can see that they mean it in terms of how much they are involved, how much they want to learn, and it's not just like copying or even stealing, right? And I think when you just copy and steal, I don't like that. I am totally against that. Um, and sometimes I have to think about that when I work with other languages. But like since I am Mije and I am Ayuuk, so I that was kind of natural for me. Thank you for your question.
Thanks, Renee. Looks like we have a question from Ukraine. Artem?
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to use my voice. First of all, I would like to thank you for your work, and I think it's very important. Why? Because many minority languages are not very modern, so to say. They are just used in villages and associated with some retro things. And in your case, you are doing a very important work in order to show that your languages can be stylish, can be modern, and attractive. In my opinion, it's very important. But the question that I would like to ask is maybe more nerdy, but also important. As a researcher, well, I was in Oaxaca, and unfortunately, yeah, I heard local languages, but I saw only Spanish. Spanish is everywhere, and of course, the situation in Mexico is very complicated because there are a lot of languages and they are small. So that's the problem. And on another hand, as a researcher, I read a lot about many languages, and the one thing that is really important for people is official status, because it gives people confidence and it gives them understanding that the state and the rulers are interested. They officially legalize using of this language in, for example, language landscape and so on. So, taking into account difficult Mexican situation, I don't hope that it's possible to receive an official state status for national status for these Mexican languages. But in your opinion, is there some possibility to receive at least regional status for some languages? I would suggest it could help.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your question. Um, we don't have official language in Mexico, so Spanish is not official. And we have what in the Constitution, we have what is called Mexican languages. So, and here's the tricky part. Because in terms of the law, Spanish in all 64 languages, including 364 dialects, are equal, and we call all of them Mexican languages. They're not official languages, they're called Mexican languages. And according to the law, they are equal, they are the same. This in paper sounds amazing and beautiful. And even the law has been like used and spread through at least Latin America, I know, because also there's the same problem, quote unquote. The we have a lot of different native languages. So this Mexican law is seen like avant-garde. It's like amazing what the law says in terms of indigenous languages. First, because we're already equal with Spanish. And second, because the law says that you as a speaker of these languages should have access to everything in your language. So that's already in the paper. So the big problem is the jump to reality. I think like there for me, there are like three big pillars where you can see how much this law is in place or not. It's, it's education, it's the health system, and it's the legal system. In at least in Oaxaca and probably all over the world with indigenous languages, if the law is true and we follow the law, at least in those three big areas, me as a speaker, I should have access to all of this in my language. The problem is that it's not. In Oaxaca, there's like a little more and more and more activism towards that. The law says this, so you state, you government should give me access to that. Because, for example, in terms of legal, if you're indigenous and you don't speak Spanish, the judge can just tell you, go back and find me someone speak Spanish and come back with him or with her. So it's giving you the responsibility, it's giving the individual the responsibility instead of the state. If the law is true, then me, the government, me, the judge, I am the one obligated to look for your translation, your interpreter, to give to give you access to me through your language. So the law says all of that. So education should be in your language, and the same with health. It doesn't happen in reality. The status in the paper in the law is the all native languages in Mexico are equal with Spanish. So we're working through make it true, asking for like right now we already have a ring of interpreters in Oaxaca, official interpreters. The government then ask them, hey, are you gonna have a people speaking Chatino? Please come so you can interpret. Okay, that sounds good. We need to keep working that they are paid equal, like if they were calling an interpreter for English, for example. We still see, so we have to keep working through that. We have to keep pushing. We have to, okay, the law says, but you're giving the responsibility to me, the individual. And what we're saying is that if the law is true, you government, you state have that obligation. And that's what we have to work through because the law already says the languages are equal. So we need to make it real.
Thank you, Renee. Yeah, really enlightening. I think we are getting near the end of our hour. And so before we go, I wanted to ask, do you have any words of advice or encouragement for other folks hoping to incorporate design, art, stickers into their language revitalization work?
Look for the people. Probably you don't know these people, but probably they're already there. So will encourage you if you're not one, like if you're not a designer, if you're not the people who could do this, look for someone who can do it because probably already existed and work with them. That's what I would say.
All right, short and sweet. Thanks, Renee. Can we have another big round of applause for Renee? This was an incredible talk and really fun. Thank you so much, Renee. This is awesome. And if people would like to learn more about your work or get in touch with you, feel free to drop your email in the chat if you'd like people to be able to reach out. And thanks again. We are so happy that this happened this today. And next month, we will be hosting yet another Stories from the Heart. So please come back and join us. We are looking forward to seeing you all next month. And thanks again, Renee. This was great. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Have a good morning or afternoon, wherever you are.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Bye, everyone.